despite of the despite of such material advantage, you don't really do anything. And I apologize, my broadcast actually interrupted. I've got this connection problem again. It is probably related to my internet and something, because it is always, I just noticed it is always nearly the same time. So the broadcast continues, but it just splits the VOD files on Twitch. So instead of one, I will have two files for today with two different videos. But the video continues. On my end, I just continue my broadcast as usual, but you needed to probably find that my broadcast again and just go to the other file, which is starting now. I'll go there and I'll just get my live thing here. Okay, I'm back. All right, so you probably missed whatever I was saying here, but what I want to do is I wanted to get my knight away either way, just in order to get the file open here as well. And I just spotted one more idea actually. I just spotted one interesting idea which I wanted to share with you guys. And this is okay. I see that the people got back. Sorry guys, that happens sometimes. My connection is getting I don't want to put a really long delay here on OBS because then I will lose kind of sense of chat if I talk to you. I've got like delay for 5 seconds, but that's not really enough sometimes when the connection breaks, so I apologize for that. And I'm just starting here. I don't even know when the connection was interrupted, but I'll just go again around this puzzle. So my idea was to clear the path for checkmate attack on b file, and for that I tried taking on c5, which was refuted by queen takes on c5 with check to my king, so that's bollocks. Now I started to go there, but then if the rook goes away and I'm planning to go with my rook to checkmate him on b7 or whatever, first of all I can't do because the rook is gone, right? So it guards b8, but then if he takes me here and I'm taking him his queen, he goes and checks with the rook on d1, and it's a checkmate because my king is cut off. I can't really escape anywhere, which is really nice. That's what I was looking at. Yes, knight d2 is the idea that I was to just to share with you again. So that's the third way, and it's a really nice way because first of all, it still allows me to create this battery on b file. Secondly, it attacks the bishop here, and if he takes me here, be my guest. I'm just gonna take you and I'm gonna be exchange up, and it's gonna be brilliant for me. So the idea is to go to d2 and attack the knight, but at the same time I'm just trying to create this battery here on b file, which is to checkmate the enemy's king. I'm always keeping my eye on the enemy's king here. So yes, that is the third way, and that's what I'm planning to play because that seems the most logical here. Let's just verify quickly if black can do anything about that. What if he drops the rook back? If he drops the rook back, I can still kind of create a threat here, because my idea would be to simply take on e4, and if he takes here, I'm gonna checkmate you on b7, right? So there are two squares that that black needs to be worried about, and it is b7 and b8. Yeah, he protected one of them, but hey, there's the second one I can deliver my checkmate on. So that's really interesting. So and that's how I'm planning to exploit the positional advantage that we've got. Okay. All right. Let me just quickly get back. Sorry, guys. I'm just looking at the stats here. Okay, that's all seems good. By some reason I feel a bit hungry, and I actually spotted an interesting thing that if I get like a lot of brain work like at work and so on, like once you devise some of the algorithms and that, um, or I play chess, that makes me hungry because I think the brain work consumes a lot of at least sugar from your blood or something, whatever. So yeah, I need to regain that. But anyways, okay. So yeah, um, again, just back. So this looks like more promising to me because that also eliminates the bishop once we created this kind of battery here. So yeah, that's what I'm going to play. And also knight on d2, just to kind of combine it with our previous idea. There is not no queen, no rook to d1 with checkmate idea. He needs to take on d2 first to deliver a checkmate, and in the meantime, I'm gonna take his queen. Yeah, that seems totally right. Taking, and we're simply taking here, and that's the least kind of sacrifice that black can get away with, because again I just wanted to show you, because if I go there and, well, my idea is just to put my rook here and deliver checkmate on either of those squares, and it's unavoidable. If he drops back, then I'm still going there. I'm threatening checkmate on b7, but prior to that I'm just gonna take on e4. Okay, and that's, yeah, that's deadly. Okay, okay. So, so Sachin was correct. I'm really proud. So here we go. Next. Right. So again, just by the look of that, look at those pieces that are actually looking at the enemy's king's position here, right? They're really close. So that kind of creates the whole idea of the positional or tactical massacre here, I believe. Right. Let's just not deviate. So according to us, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pawns here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pawns there. Two pieces each. Two rooks each. One queen. Therefore, we are standing equal material wise. But it doesn't really say that the position, which position is better. Look at those bishops. One is jammed by its own pawn. Another one looks into those pawns. So what is it doing? What are they doing really? Not it, but are they? Right. So here, oh yeah, I have kind of crazy ideas of going like rook f3 or something, because that opens the diagonal, and by sacrificing I think we can get to the king easier. Another thing is just to go there check, which is also kind of interesting, because with going there I can give him a check here, and then if he goes somewhere I can take here as well, and then maybe give him like linear checkmate or anything. Yeah. Hey, always stay humble. How are you doing, mate? How is it all going? Welcome, welcome. If you're first time here, my name is Alex and I'm FIDE candidate master from New Zealand. So here I'm just solving puzzles mostly. So feel free to follow. I'm just trying really hard to make my streams more or less regular, but I can definitely stream on weekends. But now going somewhere in the middle, well, technically it is still my kind of guilt, because I went to bed really late, and next day when you wake up, you are really kind of feel really tired. So one day it should stop. You need to go to bed earlier, and then next day will be perfectly fine for solving tactics, because you'll be rested, and all this kind of stuff. But that also shows lack of my self-control, unfortunately, and that reflects in chess as well. Impatience, apathy, all these kind of things which are derived from your physical state. Okay. Right. Oopsie, my need to charge my phone because it's gonna shoot off soon if I don't. Okay. Perfect. All right. So here, yeah. Let's just verify something more forcing, which is check. I'll just do the forcing stuff first because that might be the correct answer. So check here, what are we threatening? It's a fork, of course, on the king and the rook. So technically he is obligated to take me on f3, right? Now, what's next? We've got several possibilities here. We can give him check this way. His king goes away. We can even deliver one more check here with the bishop. He goes on somewhere like on e2 or I believe e2 would be better, so e2. So what are we going to do then? His king is perfectly safe here, and then what? Once again, check, taking. Can we actually stop him from escaping? That's another idea. I can't really give him check here because the queen actually guards that square. I can go with the queen there, but it's not going to be forcing first of all, and second he still escapes. So I'm going to give him check here, he goes to e2, and basically that's it. Again, we are in trouble. So looks like check here doesn't really help and he escapes. My crazy idea was to go to rook to f3 as well, but that looks really nice and really effective, but is it better or not? Okay, Mr. Cheetah is sending me the um, invitation to play again, but I'm not playing today. So what about this? Is it better than whatever we've got there? I bet it is, because first of all, if he takes, which seems like he should, we will check in a moment what if he doesn't take, because in chess you're not obligated to take, right? So let's just verify. So if say he boldly takes. He boldly takes, and what are we going to do then? The interesting thing is we can give him check in several ways. We can give this check here. He goes away. Then what I'm proposing to do is I can bring the queen in. But the funny ideas here, guys, are that the knight from h3 can jump to f4, and then e2 square will be cut off from the enemy's king. And look, the king is kind of marooned here. Then we can give him a check or even bring the queen in, like on g5, because our knight is standing on f4, and we can go check here, he goes away, check here, it's going to be checkmate, right? So that seems more promising, intuitively again. But maybe we're missing something, I don't know. Let's just verify. Let's just verify. Anything else we can spot here? Something should be going on the king's side for sure. But what? But what? So yeah, that's exactly. I always stay humble. That's exactly what I was saying. So going there, right? So anything else? Any other sacrifices? Taking here doesn't seem right. He can even be really bold and take there with the queen. Oh, hang on a second. I'll want to check this version. So taking here, if he takes with the queen, nah, it is still possible because there is no checks or anything, and the queen goes away, so we sacrificed for nothing. So yeah, rook to f3 seems the best. And if he takes, we saw that the enemy is kind of white is gonna be getting himself in trouble, because if he takes check here, then f4, yeah, and we're cutting off the enemy's king entirely. But and then the queen goes in, and yeah, he needs to move. No time. Check here. Checkmates. Yeah, checkmates everywhere. Now let's just verify if he doesn't take, because if it is a real game, you don't just here again. I want to repeat for you guys if somebody didn't hear that. Once you solve puzzles, the main difference between puzzles and real life, which means the of the board game, is that once you solve puzzle, once you solve a puzzle, you know that there is a solution. There is a tactical combination. In real game, you don't know. You can sense that, you can verify that, but you don't know that there is a puzzle, there is a combination there. Whether it is there or not, you don't even know. So here we know, and that gives us advantage of searching for crazy moves like this. In real game, would you really play that? Well, maybe, but there is really much lower chance of that, right? Because in real game, you treasure your material and you either need to deeply calculate everything. Therefore, what gives you advantage in real game is the calculation skills, and that's what we're doing now in here. So I would risk and play that for sure, but would that be okay? It seems like it is okay because our knight stands in a really dangerous position here. The queen jumps in, they play, then we threaten checks here and all kind of nasty stuff. Definitely that's going to be really advantageous, so we play this way. He takes. Now that was the idea, just to check here. If he goes somewhere here, it is going to be a shorter end because we are moving our knight to f4, and it's going to be checkmate really soon here. But if we go the check, and if he goes to f1, we move our knight to f4, and let's say he tries to escape via moving his rook somewhere, I don't know, maybe c2. What can we do in this position then? Checking here probably doesn't really help, so we need to bring the queen in, I believe. So if we bring in the queen in and he goes somewhere like here, this is the check that follows. So knight works perfectly here because escaping the king's escape is delayed, and then we take on e3. We are winning here for sure. So yeah, and that's winning as we did that. So always stay humble. You were absolutely correct. We got here. Okay, now let me just quickly verify, guys, how we are standing. I'm streaming in just over an hour. Wonderful. Alright, so let's just go to the next one then. Probably a couple more. Oh, pawn and games. I love pawn and games. Right. So now, bed. Well, let's just get again a brief overview of the pawn and games. Pardon me. I've got a blog on chess.com where I got some of the pawn and game studies. Not just studies. It is not studies in the sense of like some kind of you need to find the ideas or whatever, like really hard ones. They're taken from real games, mostly my games, but sometimes I get some of the really famous ones there. So if you want to just check the down there, I've got the link to my chess.com profile as well. And then in the blog you can see my rook and game studies and the pawn and games. So basic principles of pawn and games is whoever queens first, of course, right? So but apart from that, what makes sense in pawn and games? The king's activity, then the passers, of course, then whoever passes, of course, goes first, the pawn racing. Then the Zugzwang positions, where you put the opponent in the position any move leads to his defeat. Pardon me. Just give me a second. I'll grab some water. All right. Okay. So Zugzwang positions. Then extra pawn moves. If you've got an extra pawn move in pawn game, that could be essential because that could be used to push your opponent to the brink of Zugzwang. Okay, then pawn breaks. Sometimes the structure seems really kind of intact. You can't really do anything, but suddenly there is a pawn break which can create a passer, and that sometimes has a decisive influence on your game. Then passers, what else are there? I believe that's the main thing. Yeah, these are the main things. So 5 main things there. Okay, so here let's just look at this position. We both have got passers, right? Which one will go first? First of all, it is our move, right? So our passer is crossing the equator first. If we're just talking about pawn races here, so we go there, he goes there, we go there, he goes there, we go there, he goes there, we go there, queen, and surprise, surprise, it's a check on the enemy's king, and this is winning, okay? Because we are queening with check. Therefore, if we start to move our pawn, it is not in the white's interest to give us that. So when the f pawn moves, white will probably go back with his king in order to stop that. See, here the point is that white has got two passers, and they're connected passers, which means one pawn guards another. You can't really take that pawn because the other pawn slips and queens. So they are self-protecting. Now, if white manages to stop our pawn, then the game is over. We can't dance around with our king. His pawns are gonna move and we wouldn't be able to stop them because they're self-propelling. But for us, that's a sad story. So we need to bet on our passer here that it queens first, and therefore we will be able to take care of his pawns and sweep them off the board or kick, checkmate the king. Okay. So well, we definitely start with f4 here. It's no brainer, right? What comes next? Definitely if the white moves the pawn or he spends time on the king's move in order to get away from that diagonal, he loses because essentially we've got an extra tempo here which wins the game. But what if we move here, what if white goes to c4 trying to get to our pawn? Well, again, no brainer, we need to stop him. So we shoulder the king. We get to their position, therefore the king cannot really come closer to our pawn. But bear in mind, once we step on e4, we are stepping under that diagonal. And it's a really essential thing. You need to always keep these things in mind. Yeah, sure. We moved the pawn, we stepped here, but look, the pawn moves. We move the pawn here, we move here, we move here, move here, and we queen again with check because the king is still standing here on the diagonal, right? Again, we're coming back and we're calculating the same thing. So going there, king's moves here, we're moving here. So for white, it is not really profitable to move this pawn forward because we're gonna queen with check. What can he do? He can still try to attempt to move closer to our pawn. But if he does that, obviously we're not gonna stand here and we're gonna shoulder him again. And now if he tries to go further again, we're just simply shouldering him again because he wastes a pawn move, we're wasting a pawn move, but in fact we are already moving our pawn faster. Yet, let's just verify that position again. Sorry guys, I'm just having really bad cough here. Sorry for that, it's just like really nice cough that I've got. So if we move the pawn and he moves there, we're moving here. If he moves further, we move there. If he moves further, we can move that way, and in fact he's not really get into our pawn. So we don't have to, once the king moves to c2, we don't even have to follow, because our king on e3 is perfectly guarding him from coming closer to our pawns. And then we can move the pawn. If he comes closer, we move the pawn, and surprise, surprise, he can't even get to e1 anymore, and we queen with check, right? So that's basically how we are treating the situation. Okay. Oops. And that's a surprise for me. So let's understand why that was not correct here. Definitely we don't move the pawn forward. That's definitely not good. I had seen a puzzle where the solution was actually to go with the king all the way around here. So maybe this is the solution? No, that's not the solution. Moving the pawn forward, that was the correct thing, and then we go in that way anyways. So I fell on the same in the same trap again, which is sad, and I have forgotten about the idea of moving to f4 and actually getting helping my pawn queen from another side. And that's what I just said to you, and I've forgotten about that because I had this similar puzzle before and I fell into the same trap. I just repeated the things 3 times. f3 was the winning, because if I move here again, I'm stepping on the diagonal. He doesn't really need to move. I think he just moves further. No, he has to move. He has to move. But let's verify why. Just a moment. Let's just verify why. So if I go there, what is the idea? He moves further. I move further. Now he moves the pawn. I move the pawn. Oh, that's a draw, of course. So he doesn't really waste the time. And we queen simultaneously, and then yeah. It's even me who needs to well, it's a draw for sure, but he's got an extra pawn here, so I need to be careful here, not him. Right, that makes total sense now. But if he moves with his king, he wastes one tempo, and if I go f3, then he needs to waste another tempo here, and I'm moving here, and we are already just 2 steps from queening. Stupid me, of course. In fact, what I want to do is I will go with that one again, because that makes me feel really dumb when I don't really see that kind of moves. And I shouldn't really rush, because every move can change the position to the extent that I need to recalculate it again, and I'm quite fairly punished for that. Okay, let's just do next. Alright, so this is the multi piece mid game, and here we need to decide what to do. First thing that kind of jumped to my mind was to go with the rook to b3 and catch the queen. Would the queen be cut? I think so, because if, there is no way that the queen can move to somewhere here. Everything is protected by our bishop, pawn, rook. He can't take here because knight protects that. He can't take the pawn. He can go to b4, so the queen is trapped here. Seems like. But he can trade the queen for as many pieces as he can. So if I go there, he takes here, and then we don't waste our piece. We just take on b3 with our bishop. Is that simple? I don't really believe that, because it is 2600 over puzzle, and well, sometimes they spoil me with this kind of really yep. I always stay humble. You are absolutely right. Thank you for helping actually the other spectators, because yeah, it is really I jump through the solution really quickly, so some people might not really get there. So let's just see. we go in there. What if knight d4? Oh, actually, that's really interesting stuff. So if he takes there, what happens? He attacks our queen, and he's taking that with check, by the way. So that's a bit of a situation we've got here. And he also attacks a rook, right, on b3. Wow, it's a really interesting reply. So what are we going to do? If we simply take, he takes here with check, we taking, he takes on a4, and let's just count the material. We've got two pieces each, and it seems like it is in black's favor because we've got this really weak pawn. He's got the passer here, so yeah, this is kind of this is not a good situation for us, is it? It's definitely not a good situation, so we need to be really careful about that. Okay, so that actually, yeah, I think that actually refutes, might even refute everything. I'm not quite sure. Ah, knight takes d5. That's the solution, I think. Knight takes d5, guys. The idea is that we are attacking his queen, bear in mind, and if he takes us here, we can give him check first. He goes away. We're taking the queen, but the rook. Oh shit! The rook is not. No, no, no. That doesn't really sound right. Does it? If he goes away with the rook. No, that doesn't sound right. No. But the idea is interesting. I'm attacking his queen. Maybe I could just do something to attack with check. That would be ideal. But so the only thing that refutes our current combination with b3 is taking on d4, of course, right? Taking on d4. We need to have some kind of interim move here which allows us to take the queen, but at the same time win a piece. See, the whole problem even with this or that is that sure, we're taking there, so he takes our queen, right? Then we give him a check. Sure, he gets away with the king, and we need to retake the queen, and then the rook goes away somewhere. That's it. So we take here, right? I think knight takes the b5 makes more sense because if I take there, well, check here is inevitable, right? If he takes like on a4, if he takes on a4 instead, then we give a check here, and then we are taking the rook, of course, right? And we are winning the exchange, and our rook drops here. It is gonna be really disastrous for the black's king. So I believe taking on b5 is better than d5 because this way we're gonna give him check, and even if he takes us here we take, and if he goes with the rook somewhere we might even try to exploit the spin somehow because we can drop the rook here with check. That's an interesting idea as well. The knight is pinned, so he needs to go away, and then I smell initiative here, of course, but yep, you're right. So knight d6 check here too. It is really, really nasty. Instead of that check, this check is actually probably better, because if he goes there, we might. Well, this way we're kind of trying to win the rook as well, but yeah, that's kind of strange. Excuse me for a second. Apologize. There's just needed to have a quick break here. So yeah, so we were talking about taking on b5, right? That's in overall, that's not a really insane idea, frankly saying. So we're gonna give him a check here, or as you mentioned, we can go there check, but I don't know which one is better so far, because either way the king is going to be displaced, and here we're still attacking the rook. So from on c7 at least it is going to be attacking something, but from d6 we can further take on f7 and then attack that rook. So but yeah, we're winning quite a lot of pawns here. That one is kind of a bit of a concern, but yeah, ideally I want to lure his king somewhere so I can attack with check, or like discover check here, but there is no such chance for sure. And if we take here, he takes here, we give him check, he goes away, we're taking the rook, so we are exchange up. The knight can go back there, he can go to it can go to b6 with attack here, and we can also drop the well, not now because the bishop is gone. We can, yeah, but the knight escapes, and we are definitely exchange up, which is advantageous, right? Yeah. Well, obviously, once the file is open, I was yeah, bishop like rook to b7, the infiltration starts. Yeah, this is gonna be really bad for black. So this way is like seems better to me. And if he decides to counterattack the same way, not a problem. We're simply taking him here. Yep, I'm taking that. Taking. Oh, okay. So, well, with this mode, we simply taking the queen, right? We are trading the queen for two light pieces, which is advantageous. That's the whole point. So that's it. I mean, he didn't even go to any deeper calculation. So it's here. We were saying if he takes here, then we this is the check that is goes here, right? So this is even better. But knight to c7 in fact is a draw. So this one is good. Check. If he goes to there, rook to b7 check comes, and I believe that's gonna be very bad. So he needs to go there. Then this check comes, yeah, and then yeah, that's definitely winning. So he comes back. We're gonna give another check. He goes away. We can even take here probably, yeah. The position is I can give him check again, right? So he needs to get away with the rook, and then the rook goes in, and despite that we traded the queens, the position is appalling for black. Still going there, check. Everything is pinned, yeah. +8, computer says. All right. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. So checking the lines here for sure. All right, so let's just do one more probably. Okay, so here we've got not a really big one, so it's in game position. We're playing white, so our pawns are going upwards, his pawns are going downwards, and currently our pawn is guarded by the bishop. By the bishop. So the natural way of dealing with that would be, of course, to try and get rid of his um, bishop somehow. But if we move there, well, cool, but the bishop stands in front of the pawn anyways, and then he still threatens to move his pawn forward, so that's not that kind of um, helping. We can move somewhere like we first of all we get this checks here too, so we can give that check too, but and we have got a tempo to reposition our knight somehow. I reckon we can give this check here and then go there. This way we're blocking the bishop from guarding the pawn squares, and then we go there and there check. Um, Sorry, there and there queen. So I believe that's how we gonna deal with that. There is no other way to get to f6 apart from check, and if he goes further we go there. Now if he moves the pawn and we move our pawn, he moves there, we queen, he queens, and I think personally we can give him a lot of checks here, like check here maybe. We can give a check there. So yeah, I think I believe that's the idea. Even though he queens, then we queen first and then he queens, but then bear in mind that we have got knight and queen against his king, and that is definitely better. I reckon we're gonna kill him because first of all we can start giving him checks, right? And then our knight is gonna come in, and he can't really step on the diagonals here sometimes because, well, not sure about that. Okay, so let's just verify that there is no way that we could if we could do anything. So if we go there, check, he needs to move somewhere, right? So if he goes here or there, let's just verify if he goes backwards. Sure, then we're still kind of trying to perform our plan, but the pawn goes and we can't really move our pawn because his king is guarding that, right? So that's a drawback of that. So in this case, I would really aim to either e4 or e4 or e6 to check and attack his bishop. Can we do that? Let's verify another variation. In fact, one more interesting idea is maybe we can go that way, attacking his bishop, and we are protecting d6 from his king approach, first of all. If he goes that way instead, we're simply taking here, and he retakes, and we are gonna move and queen. Two queens, I believe, is gonna win because he can't really move. We check from behind, win the queen on skewer. So I believe this way, like attacking here, is advantageous for us. If he starts moving the pawn right away, we're taking. He goes further, we go further. He goes further, we go further. Queen. Then he can even take here. I don't know if we're going to win that or not, in fact. So this is definitely to threaten him. If he goes there, he goes there, right? We can take the pawn. He takes that, we move that way. He moves closer to our pawn, we're going that way. He moves away with his bishop, we're gonna further. He sacrifices, we take. He's gonna approach our pawn, and I think it's gonna be a draw. Maybe he even wins there, so I don't know. If he steps to g5 and we are somewhere here or there, we're gonna lose that. So yeah, if we go there, say he moves the pawn further, we are taking, so he goes further with the pawn, right? We're checking here, so that's a really good protection from moving the pawn forward, right? So that's a really good idea. Now if we move to f3, if we move to f3, kind of really interesting idea, because the knight here is going to deter that pawn from moving too, in case we can even sacrifice that pawn with our pawn advancing here. So yeah, that's a really interesting idea, because if we move that way, there is always a threat of him going with the pawn, right? So that's not gonna help us. Or even he can go there. No, well, he cannot really go there, but if the bishop goes to e7 still, we can take here. He moves with the pawn, we can go further. He moves there, we can stop the pawn, right? So we're stopping the pawn. Just a second, guys. I'll back. Alright, so where were we? So this is a tough one, right? So, well, intuitively, if I attack him and if he goes away, what I'm gaining here, right? So I reckon the idea should be either to take another pawn and then still stop that one. So maybe that's gonna be the case. So if I go there and if he moves in front of the pawn, my knight here stops his pawn from advancing for sure. And I'm gonna go further for that pawn then. Say he goes there and attacks my pawn, then I'm gonna move and go closer to his knight and defend my pawn. Then the pawn is gonna move, and then what? Moving the my knight is gonna be guarding his pawn, so I don't really like that idea. Yeah, that's always the idea of once you queen first, then to trade and just try to get another pawn in. So, but is there any kind of checks here that's a problem? I don't think so. If we go for queen and for queens here, I think it is way too far. We're missing something easier. So it is not like chess.com when you need to really calculate further and then find that you actually win on a skewer. So here I think Lichess puzzles are slightly more humane in terms of we 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 don't really they don't really do that. All right. So okay, we want to prevent him from coming in for our pawn, especially like d6. At the same time, we need to stop the pawn, but what are we doing then? Maybe well, let me just verify my variation. So I'm just gonna go there. Say if he moves the pawn, right? I'm taking you here. Say he takes me. I can't really stop his pawn, but then I need to do something with going further. He goes further, I'm going further, queening. He goes there and queening. And here, guys, I think we are kind of missing something. I think we are missing something. Where I could check him actually. Well, even having another pawn here is kind of a huge advantage because I believe that we might have some ideas of moving the pawns and winnings, still winning, if you know what I mean. So yeah, maybe the queen endgame here is winning, then that's where the solution is gonna stop. So yeah. In this case, I see that those two moves here and there are kind of equal because I'm still wanting to get another pawn here. With this move, I don't really get that. I'm threatening to take his knight, his bishop, right? But his bishop getting away, and what am I doing? Getting with the king closer? No, I can't do that. So this way, I'm threatening the bishop and the pawn. And if his bishop goes away, I'm just take that. I'm taking that. And if he goes there, my knight goes exactly at the same time. So if I go there, if he just tries to, first of all, he can't really stop that. He can't really get to that diagonal which cuts off my knight from those two squares to guard the pawn from queening, if you know what I mean. So I bet on that move, and that basically also prevents him from coming closer to my pawn, right? So he needs to do something here. So if he goes that way, for example, I'm moving the pawn forward and I'm winning. Yep, I'm betting, guys, on knight to f7, and I'm gonna play this way, and that's correct. And here I'm just taking the pawn and I'm bringing the knight back, and that's winning exactly as I see it. So by some reason, those kind of in-game puzzles are, you know, are seeming a little like less like easier to me than the ones that we've got full of the pieces on the board. Now let's just verify why knight f3 is not working. Well, to me, sorry, where were we? Here, right? So this is the initial position, right? To me, why I didn't like knight f3 here, because what are the threats that I'm imposing? I'm trying to take the bishop on g5, right? But if he moves back, what then? And that kind of refuted the whole idea. I have got no more threats. Yes, my knight here on f3 is guarding the pawn, but how I'm gonna make my pawn move? I can get to that pawn with the king, but then he gets to my pawn. And when I'm defending that, yeah, well, we are in stalemate here, so I can't really progress here. So that's what my idea was. I moved here in order to attack the bishop and the pawn if the bishop goes away. If the bishop goes away via that diagonal, I'm taking the pawn. If bishop goes via that diagonal, my pawn is gonna slip and queen. And that was my logic. And basically, we were giving only 7 points for that puzzle, which means that the puzzle itself was not really hard. We're probably just overcomplicating that sometimes. All right. And frankly, this is not a calculation as much here. It is just the paradigm, the idea, right? So here my idea is create another passer and then deal with the pawn. I see that my knight is actually can deter that pawn from going further. Right? Interesting. Next. Oh, this is an interesting one too, looks like. Or maybe I could leave it till next time, probably. Look, guys, I just feel a little bit tired. I don't know, maybe I just got some flu or something starting. But I would probably call it a day today. I gratefully welcome everybody who joined. I do appreciate it. Feel free to follow. I will try to do another session tomorrow, but usually I do it on Wednesdays and weekends, right? So feel free to join. I'm gonna solve the tactics again, and thank you to everybody who was watching and will be watching in record. I just wanted to warmly welcome all the new members and the old ones that dropped by. Somish Sports, thank you very much. Sachin, thank you for joining, and always stay humble. Thank you for your input as well. I do appreciate it, guys. And that's basically how we learn. We throw in the ideas, we see why it was right, why it was wrong, and we learn on that one. Okay, that's the whole purpose of solving tactics here on Lichess. Again, guys, thank you everybody. Thank you everybody who joined. Thank you everybody who watched, and I'll see you later. Thank you and bye bye.